The Golden State Warriors just got breaking news on a Jonathan Kuminga return after the All-Star break. That's what we're discussing on today's edition of Warriors Today. Let's get into it. We have not seen Warriors forward Jonathan Kuminga since January 4th when he sprained his right ankle against the Memphis Grizzlies. And since that injury, he's gone through a couple of reevaluations. The Warriors have provided a new Jonathan Kuminga injury update after the All-Star break, after yet another reevaluation. Here's what the exam told us via Warriors PR. According to the Warriors, this Warriors forward Jonathan Kuminga, who suffered a sprained right ankle on January 4th versus Memphis and has missed the last 21 games, returned to team practice this evening at Chase Center for the first time since sustaining the injury. His return to game action will be based on his continued progress and physical readiness. So clearly, Kuminga is not ready to be on the court for Golden State in game action just yet. More details from Warriors insider at NBC Sports Bay Area, Dalton Johnson. So Kuminga was a part of team practice, according to the Dubs, but the Warriors should get Kuminga back in the next few games for the stretch run. Golden State needs Kuminga, and basically this was another one of these cryptic and not saying too much injury updates for Jonathan Kuminga, as we don't know exactly when he is going to return at this point, but he is progressing and he's finally at team practice. Basically what I gathered from this update is that Kuminga's day-to-day now. They're going to be monitoring his progress and seeing, when they feel like he could be inserted back into game action and when he's looking like the player that he did over the previous 10 games before the injury. That's when he'll be ready to get back in this Golden State lineup. So taking caution because they're saying it was a bad sprain and Kuminga wants to get out there just as bad as anybody. But when we find out that Kuminga is back in this Golden State lineup, you're going to find out right here at Warriors Day. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We do daily news, rumors, live shows, watch parties for almost every Warriors game the rest of the season. So lock us in if you're a diehard Dubs fan. And we're 18 subs away from our next milestone, 74,500 subscribers. So we need 18 diehard Dubs fans to go down below and hit that sub button right now. Looking over the Warriors' upcoming schedule here and kind of trying to pinpoint when we could see a Kuminga return. I don't think it's going to be on Friday night's game against the Sacramento Kings in Sacktown. Potentially a return on Sunday against the Mavericks, but even I'm being a little bit pessimistic about when Kuminga returns here. My guess would be the second game of that little two-game homestand against the Charlotte Hornets, a team who's not necessarily competing. They just beat the Lakers last night, but that was absolutely ridiculous. They went on like a 23-1 run. Just a little side note there. F the Lakers. But I could see Kuminga coming back against a little bit of a tune-up game against Charlotte, who they'll play the following week, I believe, as well. And then, you have them for another road trip to Orlando and Philly. And Orlando is one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Like, Golden State's schedule does not get much easier through the last 27 games of the year. So they're going to need Kuminga back ASAP. Hopefully on Tuesday, he is able to go against Charlotte. My overall take here is kind of what I mentioned a little bit before. Is like they need to see that he's 100%, 110% even before he gets back to game action for Golden State. It was a bad sprain. This is something that could easily be compounded with if he's rushed back too early. So thinking about when he wants to come back, like let's not rush it against a mid-Sacramento team who I understand you have the same record as right now, but if we were just comparing talent for talent, I think Golden State can handle them with who they have in tow right now. And then you get a rematch with Dallas, who you lost to close last time. I think that Golden State would be able to win that game if they just hit a couple more threes and didn't turn the ball over in the clutch as much as they did. So two very winnable games even without Kuminga, then get him back for a tune-up game. But if you want to see Jonathan Kuminga back in this lineup ASAP, ASAP no Rocky, like today's video, go down below and hit that thumbs up icon, totally free, takes 2 seconds. Because the Kuminga that we saw before he got injured was on a tear, playing the best basketball of his career, attacking the glass. You see it reflected in the upgraded rebounds per game than the rest of his career. He's even increasing his efficiency from outside, albeit not on great volume, but I'm not going to sit here asking Jonathan Kuminga to throw up 6-7 threes a night. 3 to 4, that's fine by me. If he can go 2 or 3, even 1 of 3 some nights, I'll be totally fine as long as he can continue to bring the athleticism that has made him, the player that he's become today. Like, he's a human highlight film, and the question we have to ask ourselves now is, where does he fit back with Jimmy Butler in the lineup? Because you could run Kuminga and Wiggins before, because Wiggins was that outside 40% three-point shooter. we know Jimmy Butler isn't that type of player. He's, in the 33% kind of area, really below league average, to be quite honest, and doesn't really take a high volume whatsoever. So how will Steve Kerr reincorporate Jonathan Kuminga back in this lineup? Because you could start JK and Wiggins together. I'm not so sure that you could start Kuminga alongside Jimmy Butler. The spacing would be pretty rough. So as far as what I think a potential starting five could look like, it goes as follows. Steph, Pods, Jimmy, Draymond, and Quentin Post here to just maximize the amount of spacing you have out there on the floor, and then you could bring Kuminga in off of the bench to be that super sub that he was kind of acting as over these 10-game stretch and even earlier into this season. We know he was in the starting lineup, out of the starting lineup, and back to the bench, kind of playing starter level minutes here as Kerr kind of finalized what his role would be. So I kind of think that he's going to stick to his guns there and try to put as much spacing out there on the floor as he can in the starting five. However, I wouldn't be mad at a small ball lineup that featured JK Butler and Draymond, because this is probably the best five that Golden State could go out there and put on the floor right now. Totally based on matchups. You don't want to be running this against everybody, especially some of the bigger teams in the Western Conference. But, I mean, everybody that you see on screen right now can attack the basket, can have the ball in their hands, and we can feel confident in them doing so. You have excellent connectors in Jimmy and Draymond. And you have highlight-level guys like Steph and Kuminga. And then you have just another sound ball handler who's really been playing a much higher level of basketball, in my opinion, over the last couple of games in Brandon Podziemski. So it's a good lineup. I don't know how often it's going to be used against certain matchups, but at the end of the day, I think with Golden State needing to compile wins right now over the last 27 games, they are going to need to put their best five out there on the floor. And what has the lineup been missing since they've added Jimmy Butler? Because they've been kind of running Jimmy in a quasi-Kuminga role, catching lobs, running the low block, playing it throughout the dunker spot and in the corners. They've missed Kuminga's athletic presence, dart cuts to the rim, skying above the basket for either big-time rebounds or big-time dunks. And you know what? We saw a couple of games where Jonathan Kuminga put up 30-plus against some of the best teams and best defenses in basketball. So I'm all in on running that small ball lineup and keeping those guys, playing together, because I want to see the veteran leadership drip and trickle down to Kuminga while they're sharing the floor together, because I think that's the only way that's going to happen to full capacity. Coming up next, though, a budding relationship, including Jimmy Butler, as he is obviously a new member of the Dubs. And more good news as Golden State has filled up their roster to meet league requirements. That in just a moment. But first, I got to give a major shout out to today's sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports platform because it's daily fantasy made easy. Over 10 million people play it. I play it too. You can today. And sign up using our promo code CLNS to get a free $50 when you place your first $5 entry. You might be asking me, Tyler, how do you even place an entry on Prize Picks? It's super simple. All you guys got to do is pick a lineup of 2 to 6 players to have projections, whether it's basketball, hockey, baseball when it comes around, college sports, esports, darts, bowling. They have it all on Prize Picks, and just pick more or less on their projected stat types. As for what I had in last night's Prize Picks, just an example right here. Give me LeBron James, more than 24 points. Oh, wait. Yeah, that one's green. And then I get tonight, I got CP3. Chris Paul trying to embarrass his former team, the Phoenix Suns. Give me more than 7.5 times. I'm halfway to hitting my Prize Picks, and you can be too. Tail my picks, fade my picks. Just make sure you go and do it at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our promo code CLNS for $50 instantly when you place your first $5 entry. You don't even need to win to receive the $50. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. All that information will be clickable down in the comments section and description of today's video. All right, the duo that we never knew we needed in Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green. Two absolute beasts of competitors on there on the floor together, and people were definitely concerned about the relationship that these guys would have in the locker room. Remember, Steve Kerr, that was a concern that they made public about Jimmy's presence in the locker room, especially colliding with a guy like Draymond Green, who's all about winning, he's all business, and he ain't afraid to, get physical with even some teammates. But Jimmy is very happy with this new relationship that he's built with both Draymond and Steph. Here we have him talking about the relationship with 30 specifically first. He said, I'm so happy over there in Golden State. Organization's top notch. Obviously, I get to play with Steph. I'm a fan of him, just like 99.9% of the world, and a chance of winning a championship. What more can you ask for? Well, I can ask for you to be happy for going out there and getting paid $100+ million over the next 2 seasons at age 36 and 37. I'm so glad that Jimmy's enjoying his time right now. Because we did not need the Miami version of Jimmy Butler. It seems like he's fallen back in love with the game of basketball, and he's found a new home to kind of ride out the twilight of his career and go chase a championship with multi-time NBA champs. And, I mean, kind of just talking about Steph quickly here, because I do want to get to the Draymond and Jimmy relationship as a whole. Steph has to be the most fun teammate to play with, like, by far. Doesn't dominate the ball, doesn't take bad shots. Even if he takes a quote-unquote bad shot, it's a good shot for Steph. Like, it's probably got a good chance at going down. And he doesn't kind of dominate things. He runs around the perimeter. He'll, curl off of screens for open looks. And if it's not there, it'll move along to the next one. Like, that's the Warriors' movement offense that they got going on. And Steph has to be an incredibly fun player to play with if you're Jimmy Butler, who is a ball-dominant player, likes to initiate things himself, and likes to connect and find the open teammate and make the right plays. Steph makes the right plays with the ball in his hands whenever he gets it, but he doesn't dominate it too much. He's got to be super fun to play with. Now let's go switch to Jimmy talking about Draymond here, because it's a funny kind of start to the quote that he had. He said, and Draymond's on the team too. Me and Draymond got along quite well. Play a lot of dominoes. He's the best, and you don't realize how great he is until you actually get on his team, and how smart and how he'll do anything to win, and I respect that the most out of anything. It's all about winning all the time with that dude, and I'm learning. It's just two top-notch competitors like going at it. Two guys who hate losing probably more than they like winning. And at the end of the day, what more can you ask for out of guys who are on the back half of their career? They're on the back burner. They're on the wrong side of 34 and 35. Like, these two, they're still giving it their all day in and day out. For anybody who has questioned Jimmy Butler's ability to give it his all in the regular season, that has not been a question whatsoever. He's been jumping in the passing lanes. He's been creating turnovers. I mean, since he's joined the team, he and Draymond have put together some really, really solid nights. I mean, we know Jimmy's scoring over 20 points a night, but look at what else they're doing out there on the floor. I mean, they're combining for like over 5 stocks a game. Over 6 stocks a game, excuse me. Like, Jimmy's got a little over a steal himself. Draymond's got over 3 steals a game over the last 4, and he's making big-time plays. You see the blocks per game for Draymond at 1.5. Those haven't been just, like, run-of-the-mill, like, soft rejections in the first, second quarter. No, like, Draymond's challenging guys at the rim in late-game scenarios, putting his body on the line and even potentially risking a foul, which we know the refs have a quick whistle to go out there and do. He's been putting up big-time defensive performances, and it's only trickling down to Jimmy, who's already an incredible defender himself. The Warriors' team defense is going to be very, very good, especially once Kuminga returns. And these guys are only going to get the best out of each other. Like, through the rest of the season, like, as Draymond said it, it's a 27-game playoff. Well, regular season's over. Golden State has to win every single game that they possibly can. And I think to get to that 6th seed, it's going to have to be like a 20-6 record, a 21-6 record the rest of the way. Like, they're going to have to win close to 50 games if they want to get to a spot where they're not playing for their lives on a 1 or 2 game playoff setting. They want to get to that 6th seed, and these two are going to get the most out of each other if it happens. And Draymond said this about Jimmy. Remember when he first got his first minutes with the Dubs? Draymond said this. He's a franchise changer. He's done that everywhere he's gone, and he is helping revitalize what we got here. The belief amongst this team now is that he's arrived, as opposed to what it was before he got here. It's night and day. And that's music to my ears at the end of the day. Like, both these guys, Draymond, Jimmy, they just want to win. And to have that camaraderie already and that all, together buying in mentality between Draymond, Jimmy, Steph, and even the reserves and role players that Golden State has on the roster right now, it's awesome. And Jimmy thinks he could potentially win a championship in Golden State. He said, whenever I get that trophy, this is all coming from a radio interview that he did in Miami, actually, because he was in Dubai over the All-Star break. He said, whenever I get that trophy and I get my ring, I'm coming back here in this very seat. So he's going to come back to that radio show when he gets his championship. Uber confident coming out of Jimmy. Let's go get that ring. Let's go prove everybody wrong and be like the first team ever in the history of this league to go and win a title with the top 3 players being 35+ years old. If there's any group that can go out there and do it in this league, it's this Golden State Warriors roster, because they've done it before, and they have a guy who's literally willed an 8 seed in Miami to the NBA Finals, carrying guys on his back, guys like Gabe Vincent and Caleb Martin to the NBA Finals. Who the hell are those guys? They stink, and Jimmy walked them to the finals. And we've seen the other two, obviously, put up 4 banners in the Chase Center. What do you guys think, though? Will the Warriors win a ring with Jimmy Butler in tow? Got this season, got another one, and got another one after that. 3 shots at this thing. Will the Warriors end up with a championship banner? Type Y for yes, type N for no. And to round out today's show, I just want to quickly talk about the 2 signings that Golden State made. Kevin Knox, obviously, was playing in Santa Cruz with the C-dubs, as they call him down there in the G League. And he was putting up big numbers, 22 and 8 a night. Another big wing that Golden State will have on this team, something they kind of lacked off of the bench. So maybe we see some spot minutes from Kevin Knox, and he shows a little bit that he can still play in this league, but I'm tempering my expectations with Double K there. And then they signed Yuri Collins yesterday to round out the 14th spot on this roster. Had to meet league requirements by Thursday. So they signed a guy who was also playing for the C-dubs down there in Santa Cruz, and he's put up big-time numbers. I know Golden State fans looked at his height, 6 foot, and he is not exactly somebody who they've been asking for. But at the end of the day, it's just another body, and I don't think he's going to see the floor all too much. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, though. Like I mentioned earlier on the program, we're very, very close to our next goal of 74,500 subscribers. We're going to be at 100K soon, because if all these diehard Dubs fans, who I thank you guys so much for hitting that sub button to this channel, we'll see you guys in the next one. Let's go Dubs.